Hello today, I'm out here and we'll talk about wealth. What is wealth? You might be asking. And even a bozo like me can figure it out. It's not money. Money is wealth. We can make more wealth. That's not a problem. Um, you see a lot of people complaining, I'm this minority, that's why we don't have wealth. It's your fault. Uh, Women, any sort of minority, sexual minority, racial minority. That's kind of the definition of minority these days is lack of wealth and not being statistically a lower percentage of the population. Right? That's no longer the definition of a minority. Right? And that is what that is. And I love minorities. It's not a big deal. But what is wealth? It's not money. Because if that were the case, we'd all be equal. Already, if that's all we needed to do was print more money. That's not going to solve any problems. That'll just devalue money to where the point is that the numbers don't matter. 5 million, it's the same thing. What matters is the ratio of how much you have compared to other people, and you can't print your way out of that. So it's not money. It's not currency, strictly speaking. That's not wealth. You can have $5 million and not be wealthy. Because you might think, well, what is wealth? Well, if it's not money, what is it? Is it land ownership? Nah, not necessarily. Although that can definitely be a key part of wealth. Wealth is more like power, more than anything else. Power over your peers, even more so. We have. I'm sorry if I'm too close to my wrinkly old face. Power over your peers, right? That's what minorities want. But at the end of the day, if they want wealth, that's what they want. Power over others. That's what wealth is. So we have people who may or may not be a minority, like women, right? Slightly more women exist in the world than men. Yeah, they're the minority, right? What does that tell you? Women hold half the money. Or they do by proxy, at least. No, they want power. Now you might say power to be free and be themselves. Oh, see, that's not so bad. Oh, well, you go on to the days where that's a problem, right? Power is what everything is, right? And say everything is about sex except for sex. Sex is about power, right? It's about power. Power dynamics, and they say as much. Right? Fight for the right, fight for your power, right? Empowering, right? It's not just a fun word. It literally giving power to this person, right? And not just self-autonomous power. Because wealth can't be money. It can't be physical objects either, right? We talk about poor people around the world. Oh, these poor people around the world. Oh, these Cambodian kids, or these poor bastards in Somalia or whatever. And yeah, life sucks in those places. But it's not because they don't have money. It's numbers on a screen. Oh, suddenly everything's better, right? No. It's not because they don't have material possessions. All right, I live in America. I have access to, and have had access to, any material possession any person could reasonably want. There's certain things that these people in other countries don't have that are material possessions. Modern medicine, indoor plumbing, electricity, creature comforts, more than anything else, except for the medicine. But even that's largely becoming less and less of a problem because, there's doctors around the world. And yeah, some remote villages don't have it, but That's because they're remote. It's not because white people stole the doctors or some wild thing like that. They did a brain drain. But it's like, to what extent are other people responsible for natural circumstances like you live in the middle of fucking nowhere, so there's nothing there. I mean, why are you shocked? You don't have stuff that other people invented because you're in the middle of fucking nowhere where no one's ever made anything of any importance. No shit, you don't have electricity. No shit, you don't have internet or modern medicine. You live in the middle of fucking nowhere and you've done nothing to get yourself material possessions. And, that was a problem. We've got factories. We've got factories in China. We can build as many factories as we need as humans. You just say the word. If that's what we need is more factories. We can build factories, right? So you can get toilets. You can make iPhones, generators, whatever fucking people need. That's not why that's oh poor you. 100 years ago, nobody, the richest king in the world, didn't have electricity. Or maybe 100 years they did, but you know what I'm saying, right? 200 years ago, what's the difference? It's the people. The societies are sick. That's why they're full of criminals and not entrepreneurs, right? Well, the entrepreneurs can't get a hold because there's too many criminals, because there's corruption, because of all this stuff. It's all sociological, psychological bullshit, right? Like you take, for instance, a poor country, right? Guatemala, right? Guatemala, beautiful country, beautiful people, delicious food, a rich, vibrant culture, proud people, many of them hardworking, broke as shit, nothing, poverty, poverty, poverty. They don't have food in Guatemala? They make plenty of food. They export food. What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, they have food in Guatemala. Oh, they don't have medicine. They have medicine in Guatemala. You can get medicine in Guatemala. You can go to the doctor in Guatemala. A Guatemalan person can go to the doctor. What don't they have? What do they have? Crime. Gangs. Drugs. Corruption. None of those are money. Those are things that people use to get money. But those aren't money. Those aren't toilets. Those aren't possessions. Those aren't designer clothes. Those aren't wealth, right? There's not a lack of wealth. It's not, you know, what's the difference between the poor and the wealthy? Attitude and how others treat you, right? That's it. That's it. You use money to change people's attitudes, right? Nothing's changed though. If you see, random person one, right? They see a person who gives them $0. This person may or may not take advantage of this other person, rob them, treat them like they're broke, like you see a homeless person, just, ugh, whatever, right? But then another person gives them some pieces of paper that have numbers on them, and suddenly they're that person's best friend. What do you need, sir? Can I help you, sir? You want the shirt off my back? Sure. Did you say colorful pieces of paper with numbers on them? Oh, shit. Why didn't you say so? Right? What? Yeah, that's what money is, right? Oh, I'm gonna, how your bank account, this digital thing has, the number 300? Well, what if it had the number 500? Would that make you a nice person that would do the right thing to those around you? Yes, it would. Numbers on a screen, colored pieces of paper, golden bars, whatever your currency is, Bitcoin, right, can change people's attitudes, can make them make the world a better place. If you don't give them these things, they will make the world a worse place. That's what it is. That's all it is, right? And their idea is, oh, if I have money, then other people will do the same to me. And more or less, they're right. I'll be able to stay in this house without the police coming and getting me out, right? Because I can pay rent. It's all just numbers. And that's what changes people's attitudes, is these numbers that represent power. And people are bought into that power game because they have the money. They don't have money. They can't play the game of you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, and here's how we prove it to each other. That's what money is. So, why don't the people of Guatemala just all decide we don't need money, we're just all going to be good to each other and not be fucking assholes, and everyone will get everything they need? Well, that's because that's communism. And unfortunately, that's not how people work. They need this power game. Yeah, sure. It'd be nice as everybody was just nice to everybody, and if you needed something, people would give it to you, and you would help other people because it'd just be such a great world you live in. But that's not the way humans, meat-eating monkeys, think and behave, right? Creatures that have roamed around in the fucking woods for thousands of years, hunting animals and killing them with fucking knives and bows and spears and watching the blood drain from them and then cooking their flesh, who've been hunting and enslaving other tribes, going to war with each other, raping, pillaging, murder, the Mongols, the slave ships. That's not, surprisingly, I know this may come as a shock, that's not how these people think. You can't just make a society where everybody's all howdy doody, let's all get together, sing Kumbaya, my lord, and share, right? That's not how it works. People don't do that. They're never going to do that because where if aliens made a movie and they said we want to show space orcs, right? These evil, selfish, bloodthirsty creatures. That's what we are, right? Humans are absolute monsters to each other and to others, right? Uh, you know, you get some of the sick people. They torture people. They throw puppies in rivers and watch them drown, or they do it to small children. Um, you get some of the worst examples, but you take some of these people, the guy bagging your groceries with a smile on his face, you put him in a bad enough circumstance, he'll rape and pillage, right? You go, you watch Walking Dead, right? You take normal people, you put them in medieval time scenario, they do all this bad shit, and that's why all the poor people do bad shit. It's because that's what people do. There's gangs and violence in Guatemala because that's more akin to how humans normally behave without money, right? If you want to live in a society where nobody has any money because the elites took it all, or the government, whatever, right? And where all these normal people, the majority of the population's broke as shit, be my guest. You don't want universal basic income? You're gonna live in fucking Guatemala. And it won't be Guatemala, it'll be New York City, or every other place you might think everybody's all nice now, right? But you make everybody poor and don't give them what they want, they're going to behave like murderous, bloodthirsty, hairless monkeys. Because that's what we are. Okay? We're apes, right? You know, that's what humans are. So don't be shocked if, why is the world? It feels like there's violence and crime growing. What do we do? It must be white men. They're doing this. They did this. This is their fault. Or other people might say, no, it's the minorities. They did this. It's their fault. Well, no, it's not really. It's just the way the world works. systems evolve in such manners that they rise and fall. And this is, we passed the zenith of our arc. We are on the downward slope. We're at the top of the downward slope, but I think coronavirus maybe helped us skip a couple steps. But something can be done, right? We can do universal basic income in some fashion that ensures that chaos does not envelop the world, right? Or we could have, like an old master slave class system come back. It's already pretty much here with the rich and the poor. You know, you work at a Starbucks in a rich neighborhood. You're serving the elite. That is the sole purpose of your life is to serve coffee to the elite. Can you think of a more broken, upside down slave system than, oh, you were born poor? You don't have money? Well, we'll let you make enough of the numbers, piece of paper, that you can pay someone to live in some shitty house or apartment. Pay me, the rich person, right? You can give back to you can pay other rich people who will make sure that you get clothing, food, and a house. Well, no, not a house, obviously, a place to live. Um, if you're willing to get the bare minimum, and all you have to do is be a little bitch boy and make us coffee whenever we want, drive through, whatever, or hamburgers, or help me find clothes in the store, or concrete, or work at the grocery store, or some other meaningless bullshit job that just is there to make sure that everybody else is just living such wonderful lives. But you don't have money for that. Because all you do is make coffee or whatever, right? You don't get to enjoy the fruits of the society. Okay, you're the slave. The rich people get to enjoy the fruits of society. And God forbid you're a slave in a poor area. If you're like in a nice place working at Starbucks, it's not so bad. If you're in the hood, if you're in broke, middle of nowhere working at Starbucks, nah. If there even is a Starbucks there, right? It's not. It's worse, right? It's worse. Slave to slaves. A slave's slave, right? If slaves had slaves, that'd be you, right? Um, at least let me be the house slave, working in a serving these rich people, cleaning their gutters, mowing their grass, doing their laundry, making their food, uh, giving them their packages, sucking their dicks, right? That's you. If you're lucky. If you're lucky. If you're really lucky, you're one of these people, and you have so much luxury. You don't even have to think. You've got all these numbers on the screen that you can divvy out as you wish, and oh man, life is good. You can do anything, get anything you want. Uh, yeah, that's great. I went to Aruba. It's nice, right? It's nice to have some money. Um, but you have to pretty much accept. Well, you don't have to. Many people live in denial. But you should accept the fact that you're a slave master. You have slaves. They're free slaves. They can choose. They could quit their job and live in the fucking street under a bridge, or they could choose to work at the Subway shop instead of the coffee shop, or they could choose to work at the grocery store instead of at Target, or whatever, right? But yeah, they could choose. They're free. They're free to do whatever they want. They can, one of those three things. And just know, these people who are making your sandwiches and your carting, right? They are They are scum that you are allowing to live. Why are you allowing to live it? Because you're the one that allows things to happen. Because you're the one with numbers on your screen. And maybe you earned those, and maybe you didn't. Probably you didn't. Usually, for every rich person, there's like 5 other people who are rich because that one person's rich. And the spouse, children, even the parents sometimes, friend or whatever that is in your little thing, and you actually do something that's worth a damn. Uh, Dream on, right? But some people do actually make a difference in the world. Chances are you're not one of them. And the best case scenario is you're making coffee for someone who's nice and rich and might even give you a tip. And making their day just a little bit better. And they are people. They like to have nice lives. Rich people do. And maybe it's not so bad. At least you're not living in Guatemala. The thing about Guatemala is they have fertile soil, iron deposits, I'm sure. Anything that they can make their own society as rich as they want. They're stuck on the money thing, and they won't do it unless they have the money. Numbers on the screen. It's not just Guatemalan money. It has to be in equivalent to US dollar, euros, things in countries that people actually want to live in. Um, then if the numbers on their screen in equivalency to those numbers is enough, then they will build hospitals and staff them with Guatemalan doctors to serve Guatemalan people. But if they don't have that, they don't have those numbers, they're not going to do it. If they do have those numbers, that in equivalency to the euro or the US dollar, they will build better schools, build better roads, infrastructure, power plants, factories, day spas, all the luxuries of life. But they won't do it. Why? Because they don't have the numbers. They do in the Caribbean, like Aruba. Aruba, not as rich as you might think, but there is money there. It's a nice, beautiful island full of wonderful, friendly folk. Cannot stress enough. Thumbs up Aruba. Tempted to move there myself, honestly. But they were given some of this money, partly because they're a Dutch colony. They're part of the Dutch kingdom. And so they were given money, and that's why it was nice, and the people were friendly, and everything's all cool there. You go to the Bahamas, you go to the poorer parts of Bahamas. I love the Bahamian people, but they got some work to do, right? They got some work to do. Why? Why don't they have nice, cool shit? Because of the numbers. Because the Arubans got that European money on them, right? So their numbers in comparison to the European and American money is higher. So they're willing to build better infrastructure. They have a desalination plant, great drinking water, nice infrastructure and stuff. It's got some improvements they need, but that's not. People aren't escaping Aruba in mass, jumping the border, throwing their children across the river, hopping fences, illegally entering places to escape Aruba. But they are doing that with Guatemala and Mexico and all these other places and around the world. Migrants moving to European countries. Why? The numbers, baby. It's all about the numbers. So that's about it for today.